There we go. Did the logo go? I was still looking for it. Okay. Good evening. This is the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 2nd, 2020 via Zoom. The first thing we will do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Even if we don't have a flag?
You can find one. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
I'm going to bring a flag to the next meeting.
Okay. And we'll do roll call.
Mr. Fowler? Mr. Fowler?
Yes, here.
Ms. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Havel?
Here.
Mr. Horvath? Mr. Wolf?
First, we need an approval of the agenda for this evening. Would anybody like to make, I'll make a motion to approve as written.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will swear the appellants in as we hear the case. We do have a quorum tonight, which is 3 of us from the board are here. I believe, Brian, is there, are they allowed to ask for a continuance if we just have a quorum and not the full board?
Yes, so you can explain it to them when we let them in.
Okay.
They can choose to move forward with the 3 that are present or continue until next month when there might be a full board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our first case is going to be BZA number 2020-11, which is Harji Singh, and this is at the property located at 11,873 Nathan's Hill Lane. And Brian, I need to swear people in, I'm sorry.
Well, as they haven't spoken yet.
Okay. There we go.
All right, and so I guess we should let the record reflect that Jack Horvath has joined the meeting now.
Hi, Jack.
Yeah, had a little problem getting into my computer. Still, I can't get in, so I had to use my iPad. So I'm here though.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and present the staff report, and then we'll let the applicant in, and we can go from there.
Okay.
This is case 2020-11. It's a request for a variance for a privacy fence in the front yard. I am going to share my screen so that get the graphics. Everybody should be able to see this. So this is the property here. I'm assuming everybody can see the map. Outlined in red, this is Nathan's Hill Drive here. It is just south of where Chapel Square goes into the Governor's Hill area off of Mason Road. So you can see Mason coming down. And then this is the church on the corner of Montgomery and Mason Road. So just so we're familiar, this is zoned A residence. This is the house. This lot is considered a double frontage lot because it does have frontage on Nathan's Hill, but it also has frontage on Governor's Way. I'm sorry, Mason Road. And there is currently a privacy fence in this location, which you can see from some of the pictures. This privacy fence runs along the right-of-way line of Mason Road. And then another picture of it where it wraps around. Privacy fences are not permitted in the front yard in the A residence district and have never been. I'm not sure how the fence was allowed to be constructed. It does look fairly old. It may have existed prior to 1996 when zoning was adopted in Symmes Township. I'm not sure. The applicant is proposing to replace the fence. And then you can see in this area here, the fence turns into a split rail. And they're proposing to replace that as well with a privacy fence. So we've got a couple maps that you should have in your packets as well. I think this map here probably shows a little bit better. So this is where they want to install the privacy fence. Just so we're familiar with the zoning resolution, on a double frontage lot like this, where you're not on a corner, you have frontage in the front and in the back, you're required to provide the front yard. So there's a 50-foot front yard setback that's required from Mason Road. So that would be a line somewhere back in here. And then outside of that, outside of the required front yard setback, everything else behind the house would be rear yard. So this is all their rear yard area. So only the portion of the fence that is closer to Mason Road than 50 feet is the subject of the variance request. So wherever the 50-foot line is, somewhere right here, the rest of this fence is permitted. And the same with the rest of this fence here, all the way up to the rear corner of the house. This is all permitted. So the subject of the variance is the portion of the fence that's less than 50 feet from Mason Road, including the whole part that runs right along the right-of-way of Mason Road.
Okay, so could they have proposed a split rail for that stretch along Mason Montgomery and then a split rail to 50 feet back on the south, or I guess that'd be the east side?
Yes, that's what the zoning resolution permits, yes.
And then you can start after that 50-foot setback, then you could start your privacy fence.
Correct. So from the applicant's point of view, and I know that they're here, they'll probably say this, they're replacing an existing fence. But you can see, most of the rest of Mason Road doesn't have privacy fencing. And when you get privacy fencing right up to the road, if you were to continue this all the way down Mason Road, all the way up, from the intersection up here all the way down to the church, you would kind of have that kind of barricade look. That's the reason that privacy fences aren't permitted in the front yard typically. And so the zoning resolution notes that there's a stand of trees here. If they pushed it back a little bit, it would be behind the trees. If they pushed it back a little bit, they could plant landscaping in front to soften the view of it. And then obviously, as Mr. Horvath just said, they could put a split rail fence around this portion of it and then landscape in their yard to give them the screening and privacy since it's so far away from the house. So those are several ways that they could meet the zoning code or soften the appearance of the fence. However, this fence is here and you do see it. When it's brand new though, you'll see it a lot more. It'll be more noticeable. So that is.
Are there any other privacy fences as you run down that road?
I don't believe so, because I don't think there are very many rear yards. There's a couple of front yards. There's a couple of houses that still front on Mason Road past this. And then the corner, let's see, where's it at? So there's these two that are rear yards. Well, I guess this isn't that portion. I apologize. It's on the other side of this road. These three houses I don't believe have privacy fences in the front yard. The applicant might be able to shed some light on that, but I don't think so.
Okay.
In fact, I'll check that on Street View while the applicant's speaking. So that's all I had. This is a practical difficulties. It's not a hardship variance, and the standards for the practical difficulties are in your staff report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
For practical difficulties, is the standard higher to have to be met versus the other type?
The undue hardship?
Yeah, the undue.
No, it's the practical difficulty standards are less stringent than the hardship standards. The hardship standards are reserved for use variances, which we don't get a lot of.
Okay.
Okay, Brian, we will reserve you as usual for later. Harjinder, oh, I'm sorry. I need to ask if you're here tonight and that you are going to testify and speak, that you will affirm that you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Harjinder Singh, I see two of you and you're both muted.
And they, yeah, muted.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. What happened?
I don't know.
Well, the board can hear you, so you can say.
One moment here. Okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. The computer doesn't allow a camera on. Neither of the computers have a camera, so we're working from an iPhone. So just bear with us here, Dad. That's your view.
Yeah. Hi,
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any questions I can answer on the fencing? I heard the conversation you had, and I'd like to take an exception to the fact that one of the houses, one house down, heading towards north, towards the traffic light, that has a privacy fence now, which is 6 feet high. Because I heard that that issue was brought up, that none of the houses, those have the backyard on the Mason Montgomery Road, have any wooden 6 feet high privacy fence, and I take an exception to that fact.
Make sure they can see
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to interject that fact. I just want to bring it to your kind attention, that fact, that by granting that permission to build a fence, I mean, we have a fence right now. The option is to repair it bit by bit, or replace it all. Our neighbors, the church, the letter is attached to the app. They highly recommend it be replaced because that look more sightly, more clean, more uniform, more harmonious with what we got. That's also in light of the fact that a house down towards the traffic light heading towards Mason, one of the houses has, I think it's a one house down. I didn't know, I didn't realize this was going to be brought up, this issue. Otherwise, I would have attached another exhibit reflecting that the back of the house has a fence facing the Mason Montgomery Road. So those are two grounds which I feel that it'd be very reasonable for, the Board of Zoning Appeals to grant permission to build newer fence in light of those two facts stated. That's all I got at this point in time, and please feel free to ask any additional questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing before we start with the questions, can you confirm that Mr. Singh was sworn in?
Yes. Should I swear him in again? Mr. Singh?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Singh, I'm sorry. With the technical difficulties, we didn't get it recorded that you are affirming that you are swearing to tell the truth.
Yes,
Could you
I do.
affirm that for us for the record? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely, I do.
Okay, and one other thing that might help, since it's a point of discussion, I was wrong. There is a privacy fence along that stretch, and then there is also brick entry walls on either side of that intersection of the street. So I'm going to share my screen again. So this is the intersection, the other side of the intersection. So you've got the big office complex across the street here.
Correct.
So this is that house on either side of the entrance has a large entrance wall that extends the whole length of both those properties.
Correct.
So as you go down Mason towards the applicant's home, you've got that brick wall.
Correct.
The next lot does have a 6-foot wooden privacy fence, like Mr.
Yes,
Singh
sir.
stated.
Yeah.
And then the next lot does not. I apologize. You can only see the next lot. And these are fairly wide lots because of the way that they sit. So
Right.
I assume that there wasn't one, but there's 2 of the 3 properties have either a wall or a fence. Only the one between Mr. Singh's property and the next house, like he said.
Yes, that's correct.
It doesn't have some kind of solid wall.
Correct.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Singh, how long have you lived at your house?
Ma'am, we have lived here for 25 years.
Okay. So that puts you 96-ish, 1996?
We moved in 95, somewhere
Okay.
October, November. Right? October, yeah, every 25 years. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
25 plus a couple of days and hours, you know.
Wonderful. Was the privacy fence there when you bought the house?
Yes, ma'am. The privacy fence was there when we bought the house.
Okay.
And the only mistake I made, you know, we thought it's going to last forever, and everything it's not permanent.
Right.
So it's getting old, it's getting wore out. And I had a very open discussion with the Mr. Fisher, James Fisher, Director of Operations of Sycamore Presbyterian Church. They're good people. We got along pretty good, and we mutually work on issues, tree cutting and all that, and drainage issues and all that. I've attached 2 letters, Exhibit C and Exhibit D. In Exhibit C, he states we would support the replacement of this fencing as it would enhance the appearance of the property. So we have their blessings, and so at this point in time, we need your blessings to move ahead and do what needs to be done. Instead of repairing that fence, which is going to look pretty ugly, I don't think our neighbors they would like it. Yeah. Probably our plan is to put a fence and stain it coming spring and summer and make it look tidy, clean, uniform, and in harmony with what we got, the surroundings, and that'll give us privacy not only from passing by traffic, but also there's a lot of offices out there and all the vehicles pulling in and out where the fire department is and folks are heading in and out of the office. We appreciate privacy, you know. You appreciate privacy more as you get older. So it's just it's pretty much time and we thought the optimum solution to this quagmire would be to request a variance and get ready to put up a nice clean fence that would also make us our neighbors, you know, Sycamore Presbyterian Church happy. Besides,
Mr. Singh, I got a question for you. If for some reason, if the variance is not granted, what's your plan B?
Well, plan B is we'll repair that. I mean, we have received a letter from the zoning. They say you can repair it. I mean, you know, we'll repair it and put 3-4 coats of paint and make it last. I mean, that's our only option left.
Would you consider replacing it with a split rail and augmenting it with landscaping?
Honestly, we would not be inclined to, because the landscaping, by the time it grows up and gives us privacy, will be it'll take too long to get there, you know. Now, 10, 15 years back, yeah, we could have, honestly, and put some fast growing trees or plants or shrubs or something out there that in a couple of years, you know, is a couple of feet high, or some kind of bamboo or something, a couple of different layers of heavy shrubbery to give us privacy. It's a little bit disheartening. It's just like it takes too long, you know, for the shrubbery to grow and give us, to serve the purpose we are trying to serve, you know, is to give us privacy. I mean, still traffic can see us, but it still give us some reasonable privacy, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so kindly.
Does anyone else from the board have any questions for Mr. Singh? No? No questions? Thank you, Mr. Singh. Is there anyone else who is here to speak on behalf?
So there's 3 attendees. One of them I know is the applicant for the next case, and there are 2 other ones, Chris Dorman and Tim Mahoney. I don't know if either of them are here to speak for this case. If you could raise your hand, that would help. If you're here for this case. Okay, I don't see anything, so I assume they're here for the next case.
Okay, all right. So at this time, if we have no one else to speak, if the board has no more questions for Mr. Snyder or Mr. Singh, then we will move into discussion among the board.
Okay, I'm going to move Mr. Singh back to the attendees. If you have any more questions, we can allow them to speak, just to keep the attendee area clear.
Okay. Byron, you look like you're ready to start.
I absolutely fully support this application. It improves the look on Mason Road, and that is a heavily trafficked road, especially during commuting rush hour. And it's across the street from and up the street from those brick walls. It just seems like the absolutely right thing to do. It enhances the area, and it's just a serious commercial type road that doesn't really fit the image we have for the front lot of a residential property. I just 100% support it.
Darcy, I see your head nodding.
I will certainly go along with Byron. Do the existing fences and structures up along the road. You know, I thought, like Jack said, maybe an alternative would be the split rail and the shrubbery. But in this case, there's really no precedent. It seems like it's probably the best option.
Jack?
Hey, Brian, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. If he was to put that fence up, could he put some shrubbery on the other side, the outside, to cut down and soften the fence look, the stockade look?
Not with where it is currently, no. It's right on the right-of-way line.
All right. I'm in full support of the request as applied for. Yep.
Okay. I'm in support also. It sounds like the fence predates the zoning board, so I'm pretty comfortable with that. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
I second.
Mr. Fowler,
Aye.
Ms. Harlow,
Aye.
Mr. Havel,
Aye.
Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Singh, congratulations. your application has passed, and you will receive some information about what to do with that. Are they going to follow up with email, or how does he get his permit?
When when the resolution is done, we get a copy of it at the county, and then we contact him to finish the zoning certificate process that he started.
Okay.
Couple weeks, a week or two.
Okay. I hope you caught all of that, Mr. Singh. We will move on to BZA Appeal 20-12. And that is, the appellant is Matt Walker. The property address is 10,132 Humphrey Road. Installation of a construction sign exceeding the square footage and height limitation. Mr. Snyder, you can take it away.
All right. Let's go back to this. So this is the property here. It's on Humphrey Road, just north of the where Humphrey Road turns to the north. Liberty Hill Court and the Village of Indian Hill here. Applecrest Court to the south. This is a property that was recently approved for construction of a new subdivision. The subdivision plan is in your packet, and I'll get to that in a minute. It is currently under construction, and this variance request is for a larger than permitted temporary construction sign identifying the project that the applicant would like to put on the street. The zoning resolution allows 16 square feet, and he's requesting 32. A couple of pictures of the property from before the development started, back when we did the subdivision review. And then the applicant submitted a couple of pictures of what it looks like now with the street under construction. So this is Humphrey Road where you come in. That's their current sign, the 16 square foot sign that's allowed by the zoning resolution. Looking the other way up Humphrey Road, again, where the subdivision comes in, and the existing 16 square foot sign. The applicant is requesting, and I apologize, this is turned, it's in your packet though. It's an 8 foot by 4 foot, 32 square foot sign with this graphic on it that they're requesting. So it would be doubling the size of the sign that's permitted in a residential zone. 32 square feet for construction is a permitted sign size in commercial districts. It's just that in single family districts, 16 square feet is the maximum size for temporary signage. And then the applicant submitted a couple other plans. This is the actual subdivision plan that was approved. So you can see it's an 8-lot subdivision off of Humphrey Road. And then this is where the proposed sign location is. This is the site plan. He wants to put it basically where the 16 square foot sign is, replace that with a 32 square foot sign. Construction signs are required to be removed following the completion of construction. So when the subdivision is done, the sign would have to come down. Obviously, the 16 square foot sign, you can see it. So there are some findings in the staff report when you're coming up Humphrey Road. You can see this sign. It's not, like it doesn't stand out. This, given the fact that it's in shadow or it's being backlit, makes it seem difficult to see. But I'm guessing when you drive by on Humphrey Road, you're not going to be able to miss this large subdivision under construction. And there is a sign there that has the name of the subdivision. So you would be able to find it with the smaller sign. That being said, 32 square feet is a very typical 4x8 sheet of plywood is a very typical size for temporary construction and real estate signs, especially in commercial areas, but in other townships in the county, 32 square feet is the size for temporary construction signs for residential developments as well. The applicant could put up the permitted, I believe it's 100 square foot entrance sign, a permanent monument entrance or entrance walls into the subdivision. Given that there's not gonna be a lot of construction around the entrance at this point, once the road is already in. Other than that, this is again a practical difficulties variance. Those standards are on the second page of the staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So Brian, what it looks like is it's already a 4x8 frame with only 4 feet being filled in with that green portion. And it looks like what they're asking for is another 4 feet down to make it 4x8. Is that correct?
I believe that it would be a little taller too. They want to add, they're requesting a 12 foot tall sign. So I think it's I think it would be a little taller also.
12 foot. Oh, I thought they were just going to take what they have and just fill it in.
Oh, I take that back. I apologize. I believe it's 8 feet. Make sure I get that right. 10 feet tall. Sorry. They're requesting a 10-foot tall, 32 square foot sign.
And right now you can have what, an 8 foot, 16 foot?
I believe so.
And how long is that going to be there?
The resident, I'm sorry, let me go through the numbers real quick since you're asking for them and I wasn't very clear. 6 feet in height and 12 square feet is what the zoning resolution permits. So that's what's out there currently. 6 feet tall, 12 square feet. And they're requesting 10 feet tall and 32 square feet. So 4 foot height variance and a 20 square foot size variance.
From your experience in the township, is this a typical request or is this an unusual request?
This is an unusual request. I've never had anybody ask for a variance for a temporary construction sign in Symmes Township before. I'm not saying that it hasn't happened. I've only been doing these since 2010. So for 10 years, in the last 10 years, I've not seen a temporary construction sign variance. Just they're
so most people are able to get by within the confines of the zoning requirements.
They may put up larger signs that are not permitted in zoning violations. They may get by with it for a period of time and then go through the zoning process. I mean, I'm not saying that people don't put bigger signs up, but I've not seen somebody ask for a variance for one.
Brian, let me finish up on Jack's question about how long could it be there. You say till construction's finished. Is that the very last property being filled out and constructed, or is that the road and the facilities?
That's a very good question. So we would view if as long as there's a house under construction in the street, the final course of asphalt hasn't been put on the street, that's obviously the subdivision is still under construction. If for some reason the last house lot didn't sell or it sat and they ended up putting in the final course of asphalt and finishing all the public improvements, we would consider the construction to be done at that point and take the sign and require the sign to be taken down. So basically when the street's done, when they finish the street, we're pretty sure that's the end of construction in the subdivision, even if they might build a individual house on a lot after that.
Of course, following up with Darcy's question is if they go ahead and put the permanent subdivision sign in, then there's no further need for a temporary sign.
Correct. And we've had that happen before too, where they put in the permanent sign during the construction phase and then they never need the temporary.
Usually, I mean, my experience just a little bit is that seems to be one of the first things that goes in to kind of identify the subdivision and attract attention. Whereas a construction sign, it's not very attractive, but okay. So that could be the other alternative is that they, in their plans, they're not waiting until what you define as the township's definition of complete construction. It could be as soon as they get the frontage, the permanent entryway signage complete, then they could go ahead and remove the temporary sign. Is that correct?
Yes, they wouldn't be allowed to have a temporary and a permanent. They would, if the temporary construction sign is up until you install a permanent sign. The only reason that it's allowed is to give you time to have a sign like they have while you're constructing the permanent sign.
But as soon as you have the permanent sign in, you don't need the temporary. Is that correct? Or can you do both?
No, you can't have both. You can have one.
You can't. Okay.
Yeah, each subdivision is only permitted one sign. You could split it on both sides of the entryway, but that's considered one entry monument feature.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Brian right now?
Okay. No.
Okay. Byron?
No.
Okay. Then we will bring in the applicant, which I believe is Mr. Walker.
And there he is.
Okay, Mr. Walker.
Confirm he got
You-
sworn.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Walker. Thank you for unmuting. Do you swear to tell the truth and affirm that you will only tell the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Please go right ahead.
So I heard the comments there back and forth, and thank you all for letting me speak tonight. I kind of wanted to go through, it's not, our intent was never, and this may a quick meeting because of that. Our intent is never to use this as a construction sign. Our intent is to use it as a marketing sign to help market the neighborhood. It's been a very typical 4x8 marketing sign has been done in residential communities. I've been very lucky in my career to have developed about 15,000 lots in 4 states. And one of the most common marketing sign that we have the front of the development is a 4x8 marketing sign, basically saying, just like we'd shown in the packet, you know, Stonewood, here's the lots, and a phone number to call. Followed by an entry monument, which is in the plans, and entry landscaping. So that is our full intent. So I don't want to, I'm not a trickery kind of guy. So I want to make sure that we all understand what I'm asking for. And that would be that a marketing sign would be up in the front as I'm doing the construction of the houses and the lots and through my sales period. And then remove it at the end of my sales period. That's the intent here. It's not to provide as a construction sign so people can see where we are. They shouldn't be able to miss us. It's more to say, hey guys, there's stuff for sale in here. We'd like an opportunity to talk to you. Please call us, and here's our number. And it's been a very consistent thing I've done over my career. So that is our full intent. You know, I think the property does consist of 2 parcels out there. So, you know, we intend to do one entry sign on the right side as you come in. So I don't know that we wouldn't be able to work out the marketing sign sits on the other, but our intent is to do a fully landscaped mound with one entry monument sign. We've just started, we're not quite wrapped up design, but we've almost finished the design of that. So that wall will go in very soon. I will say that we have had some success in there in the neighborhood. We have 2 sales, both of those at about $1.3 million a piece for the houses. So things are going well. We just would like to continue our process, put our marketing sign up and move forward. If that is, you know, Brian, you can help answer this. If that is a absolute no-go and the intent would never be to allow us to have a marketing sign up there while we have an entry monument sign, then I don't want to waste any more of your all's time, because that is our full intent, is that would be up there while we're doing sales during the sales period.
Well, so marketing sign is the same thing. If you're marketing the property while it's under construction, that it falls into the same category. So you are allowed to have that. The fact that there's more than one lot doesn't help, because it's all covered by one subdivision. It'll all be part of the same development.
Got it.
So the subdivision signage regulations relate to the term development, one sign per development.
So in Symmes Township, this is, and again, excuse me for not knowing this going in, but I thought we'd gone over it. In Symmes Township, you do not allow a permanent sign and a marketing sign to be up at the same time.
So there's a different type of sign, you're right, a real estate sign, which is different than the temporary construction sign. So the real estate sign is what you're asking for, to be 30 feet, not the construct. Okay.
It would be, but but still, if that's, it's going to, it's not untypical for the stuff I've done in Warren County. I don't, usually we have to ask for this sign to clean it up, not usually to have dual signs. A lot of times the sign size gets, it doesn't fit in multiple different areas. In Nicholasville, Kentucky, in Heightmeyer Reserve, in my sign that I did on Kenwood Road, we had to do the same thing because the square footages didn't quite line up. And we called Sycamore Township and worked through the same kind of thing. If it's for a marketing sign, I would like a 4x8 marketing sign. It's fairly standard for new subdivision development, and it would be the design as put in the packet. But I also fully intend to build a permanent entry monument sign for the neighborhood. And I plan to do that in the next 60 to 90 days, albeit hopefully it gets approved. I've got to submit it for approval, but that is my full intention. So just so I'm clear and everybody understands what I'm trying to do, that is what I want to do.
Okay, I'm not clear. I'm not clear. What is doing this? What is this?
The 4x8 construction sign at the front of the neighborhood. If I intend to leave that up through the sales period, along with a permanent entry monument sign for the development.
Okay. So, Brian, the difference between a construction, I've seen these marketing signs as you go through different neighborhoods, and you mentioned Warren County, and I just drew my mind to a place that I just saw recently. So are you saying that in Symmes Township, we do not draw a differentiation between a construction sign and a marketing sign?
No, I'm looking at that. So a real estate sign is the sign that you're allowed to put in your front yard saying your house is for sale. So that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
Right. Construction, what he's talking about is can be considered a temporary construction sign. And what I'm looking for now is just to clarify whether or not you're allowed to have a construction sign and a permanent sign at the same time. So I'm reading through the zoning resolution right now. Give me 1 second.
And while you're doing that, is there anything about a marketing sign? Do we have anything like that in the regs?
No, we don't. So if it's advertising the sale of your lot, it's a real estate sign. If it's advertising the subdivision or the possibility of multiple lots in a development, it's a construction sign.
Okay.
The real reason why we try to do this at the front while he's reading out, if it's okay, is to try to clean it up and give it a professional, organized look with one sign out there that markets it. Then we have lot signs that go down that just say the lot number, so that when people drive in, it's a more organized approach to the development. That's the intention, rather than there be multiple real estate signs on every lot. That is not our intention. It would be if we weren't able to do it in this manner. But the thought is we have one sign out front says, here's our phone number, here's for sale. And there's just a simple lot sign that says the number of the lot as you go in the development, to give a more organized and, we believe, a professional look to the neighborhood.
Okay, so Mr. Walker, it looks like you said you did talk to somebody at my office about this, and there is a permission for construction signs and a main entry sign, and it appears that that's true. The zoning resolution does appear to allow both the permanent sign and the construction sign.
So then with that said, I want to make sure that I will be building a permanent construction sign in the neighborhood, albeit I do need to get it approved.
Permanent entry sign, you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying all the wrong stuff. It will stay there forever. I will build a sign that will stay there forever. And then I would also like to do the construction sign only while I'm marketing the subdivision for sale.
So the permanent sign is allowed to be 8 feet tall and 24 square feet in size. And you can split the 24 square feet onto either side of the street for 2 12 square foot signs, or you can put all 24 square feet on one side. 8 feet tall, that's the size that the wall with the sign on it is allowed to be the maximum height. So that's what you're allowed to do as a permanent entrance monument. And then so you're asking for the temporary construction sign at 10 feet tall and 32 square feet. That's the variance that is before the board today. Okay.
Exactly. I'm asking for a 10-foot tall, 32 square foot temporary construction sign instead of 8 Sipsy Klein lot for sale lot signs all the way down the street. Basically is the real difference.
Okay, so we're back to our starting point. I'm just trying to regroup here because that was a little confusing to watch, but thank you both for sticking with us here. So the sign that is in the application is the one that Mr. Walker is still asking for. It sounds like it is going to stay there regardless of the construction of the monument sign. Is that accurate? Okay.
That's accurate.
Until the last property is sold.
Correct.
No, Jack shaking his head, no.
No, that's right. No, you're correct.
Okay.
Shake my head thinking about something else.
But we had talked previously about the construction sign being there till when the street was finished versus when all the lots are built and sold, which is a completely different time frame.
Well, not usually on an 8-lot subdivision. The street usually isn't done until the last house is built, I think, unless, you know, something falls through or one of the lots just doesn't sell. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Walker, but I don't believe you plan on finishing the road until the last house is built.
I do not. There's the final topping. The road is in currently, but there's the final topping, which is the last few inches of road that goes in after I finish all the houses. I typically like to let them all get built because I just love to leave the neighborhood with that black surface at the end. I think it leaves it clean and crisp, but that would be the intention unless there's something wild happens.
Right, Mr. Havel, that's the one where something wild happens and the last lot doesn't go or the last house doesn't finish and the developer decides to finish the road and finish the subdivision. As far as he's concerned, then the construction sign has to come down at that point.
Okay.
Correct.
I guess I'm struggling with, I mean, we're looking at a sign that's like more than 2.5 times the size of what's permitted and the height, a 10-foot sign. I mean, that's as tall as a basketball hoop. You know, I mean, seems kind of monstrous. You know what I mean? If it was a 4 foot by 8 foot, 4 foot high and 8 foot wide, that would seem a little bit more appropriate from a visual standpoint. I'm just struggling with why this sign's got to be 10 foot tall.
Well, Jack, let's defer that to deliberations.
No, I'm asking the builder. I'm asking the developer. I want to know why he feels like he's got to have a 10-foot tall sign versus something that's maybe 6 foot or 8 foot or 4 foot high. I'd like to just understand why he's chosen that dimension.
There's no real science. The 10 foot is because it's 4 foot by 8 foot tall, and I didn't want to stick it right on the ground. I wanted it to be up off the ground a little bit so that you can mow around it, you can weed eat it, and it doesn't look set there. So that's why it goes up to 10 foot. But the 4 foot 8 with a sheet of plywood turned vertically versus horizontally really is no other answer than it's what I've done about 1,000 times in different places, and I thought it looked really good. I don't think there's no science behind why that was like that other than it stacks very well. It's a very neat presentation. And what I was trying to do was clean up the front entry and have a more professional presentation rather than the numerous lot signs all the way kind of cluttered through the lots.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to ask of Mr. Walker? Okay, radio silence tends to mean no. Mr. Walker, Mr. Dorman and Mr. Mahoney are in attendance also. I believe that, did they want to speak?
They better
No.
not.
Oh.
They're my sales guys. They're learning. They're hopefully learning how to do variance calls so that they can do them in the future. Tonight, they've seen a very disorganized presentation of one, so hopefully I'll do one better on the next one. But they're just learning how to do these so that hopefully they'll be doing them as we go forward.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I noticed the names were from the sign, so that's why I thought I'd ask. Okay.
No problem.
So
this organization is probably a little bit my fault as well. Like I said, I have not done I'm not even honestly looked at this section of the Symmes Township zoning resolution. This just doesn't ever come up.
Right.
And the rules in Hamilton County are a lot different than they are in Symmes Township. So apologize for having to go back and look it up again.
No worries. You're all significantly developed out. I mean, this is not going to be a regular request because there's just not so much development going on, where in other areas where there's more land, it's a fairly common request.
Okay, Brian. So then let's look at this for a second. Okay, this is Symmes Township, and this is a little nestled in among Montgomery or up to Indian Hill and all that area. Do those communities allow this size of sign?
I do not know what Indian Hill or Montgomery allow. I'm not sure.
Because if they were allowing this kind of signage, a 32 square foot signage, then ours would be kind of like typical what you see in the neighborhood. But if theirs is not, then this looks different than what you would typically see in that area. So, but you don't know.
No, I do not.
I believe Mr. Walker had a response for you, Jack.
I do. We just had this sign approved in Sycamore Township, Kenwood Road. I have seen the sign repeatedly in Montgomery. And I will tell you, in Indian Hill, they do not allow it. Indian Hill has one small construction sign with no phone number or marketing on it whatsoever. That's the ones that you mentioned. That's what's out there.
So what you're saying is, just to be clear, is that people that live in Montgomery, if they drive by and they saw that sign, they're not going to say, hey, that really looks very different than what we see in our neighborhoods, like when the Reserve or those guys were being built. I know that's a long time ago, but you're saying that that's a 32 square foot sign is permitted in Montgomery and Kenwood.
It's a very, very typical sign that you'd see in most residential developments across greater Cincinnati.
Okay. All right, I'll take your word with that.
I can't say that's what the county allows, is this sign that he's asking for now. So for all the townships that are under county zoning, the size he's asking for is what's permitted as of right.
So wait, just a second, Jennifer. So you're saying your experience agrees or concurs with his?
Not for the jurisdictions that he mentioned. For the county zoning jurisdictions, which that's Columbia Township on the east side, but it's Harrison, Miami Township, and Green Township on the west side, where there's been a lot of residential development, tons of it over the last 20 years that I've been working at the county, and that the zoning resolution for Hamilton County allows for the 10-foot tall, 32 square foot construction sign, I believe, for residential subdivisions.
Okay. All right. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Brian, since this seems to be more of a novel issue for us, and I know one of the things we're not a fan of is setting precedent. Is this something that is likely to come up again?
It's possible. There's other properties where one house can be bought and 8 lots can be built. It's not going to be a major problem because there's not a whole lot of undeveloped land, or you're not going to have a lot of big subdivisions in Symmes Township at this point. But there are a lot of little places where something like this could come up again.
May I please have those addresses?
Just drive around and look for another one.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Brian Snyder or Mr. Walker?
Well, let's be clear with Brian.
Okay.
The rule is currently 12 square feet.
Yes.
And the height limit is?
6 square feet.
Whoops. You
I'm
can't.
sorry, 6 feet in height. I'm sorry, not square feet. 6 feet in height, 12 square feet.
All right, that applies whether it's a construction sign or a marketing sign.
Correct. They're both the same thing as far as the code
Okay.
goes.
Okay, any other questions? No? Darcy, you're being very quiet.
No, I was just, my questions were about the longevity. That, you know, is this thing going to be up there forever? Which sounds like it could be.
I mean, it won't take long to develop 8 lots in my experience.
It will take a long or will not?
Will not.
Okay. Then we will close the discussion to the group and we will discuss among the board. Byron, I'm just going to have you go again first.
Well, I don't like splitting the baby in half, but I think this may be a situation where maybe splitting the baby in half is a good idea. I don't have a firm opinion about this. I'm just suggesting ideas. I'd consider saying, and if you've all looked at the graphic of the sign, I'm thinking maybe cut it down. I think 10 feet is awful damn tall. I think cutting it down to 8 feet is probably a good idea. If they lose their W kind of graphic in the middle or have to reduce the size, the name of the subdivision, I wouldn't lose any sleep over that. But I'd also like to put some kind of a time frame on it. I mean, we're talking about construction being when he puts his last layer of asphalt up is really potentially a long, long time. You're talking about building out 8 houses and then putting that layer. I'm thinking 1 year. I'm thinking 6 months that this sign has to come down or go back to a conforming type sign, but something like that. I'm looking at 8 feet, not necessarily 6 feet, but also thinking in terms of a time frame. So I'd open it up to those thoughts.
I don't have a strong opinion about it either. I don't feel like the novelty of it is going to really be a big precedent-setting issue. But I'm for the time limit for certain because I'm not sure if it means 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. That's where I get concerned is when we start going further out in time to have that big sign up. But that's my 2 cents. Darcy or Jack, whoever wants to go.
My thought is the thing looks like a billboard. Number one. And number two, you know, 10 years ago in marketing 10 years ago, the sign, you know, would be of value. Today's marketing and buyers, you know, are much more technological. They use their phones, they search. To me, the sign that showed the lots and the lot numbers would be the main marketing tool here. And I think there's just a lot of stuff on there that nobody's going to pay attention to. I don't think it's essential in marketing, just from my mind. But my main objection is it looks like a billboard, and it could get very weathered out there if it's out there 10, 12 years.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just muddy the water a little further, because
Sure.
I'm really, really bad at knowing what the zoning regulations are for construction signs in both of the jurisdictions that I administer. Mr. Horvath earlier asked what was typical, and I've stated that for the county zoning it was 32 square feet. It's not. I just looked that up too. The county actually allows 8 feet in height and 16 square feet. So a whole different number. Symmes Township
pretty much what's out there.
Height and 12 square feet, and what the county allows is 8 feet tall and 16 square feet. Let's just muddy the water up a little bit more, but Just for
No,
clarity.
I mean, okay. Jennifer, I mean, where I'm at is to be consistent within the county. I would advocate that we suggest that they use what Brian just suggested. And Darcy raises a really good point in terms of the marketing value. I mean, most people drive by, they're not going to stop and get out of their car. It's not like there's sidewalks where people are walking. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong here. But it's more driving by and looking down there and getting the name so they can go home and Google it and see like what's available, what do they cost, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the 16 square foot, 8 foot high is where I would fall. 10 feet just seems like that seems in my mind monstrous. And maybe that's, you know, if you're up in Warren County and there's a 100-foot setback and you got to put the sign back 100 feet, you know, something 32 by square feet with 10-foot height, that may be more appropriate. But this is a residential area. It just seems to me a little bit of overkill. That'd be my input.
Okay. Darcy, you're still just quiet, and I just keep wanting to go, hey, Darcy, what you thinking?
So the photographs of the entrance showed a construction sign out there, and that was within the limits. Is that correct, Brian?
I believe so. I believe that's the 6 foot tall, 12 square foot sign.
Okay.
Okay. So we've heard some discussion. Does anyone want to make a motion at this time?
Jack does.
Well, I would just suggest that, you know, if you want a variance, do what they do elsewhere in the county. Since we're a township in the county, do a 8 foot tall, 16 square foot, put it in, sell them fast, pull it out, and be done.
Okay. What do you think about the time limit issue?
That's why I say sell it fast. I don't think he's going to have a problem. I think right now it's such a buyer's market or a seller's market right now that people will be just clamoring to get into this area. So I don't feel like that's an issue. I just want to make sure it's just not an eyesore or just kind of, you know, standing out as unusual in the neighborhood.
Byron, you look like you're nodding. I'm not sure if you're thinking.
I mean, does anyone else have other input, or I mean, do you think that, you know, we ought to just go with it or go with what's proposed? I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we go with what this county allows, which is what's existing at this point, and deny this.
No, you're talking about denying it as opposed to granting a variance that's conditioned upon meeting the county standards.
I think the existing sign does meet the county standards, doesn't it, Byron?
It meets the Symmes Township standards currently, and
No,
the standards would be
Proposed.
2 more feet in height and 4 more square feet.
Yeah, it's bigger. It's bigger and it's taller than the township. And I would say grant that variance to make it consistent with the county, but don't make it 10 foot by 32 feet square.
I could go with that.
Are you okay without a time limit, Darcy?
You know, if you're selling expensive homes, you're eventually going to have to sell, you know, finish a street and finish a thing out. Otherwise, you're going to have some very unhappy customers. So I think maybe the customer service part will take care of the time limit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I mean, it's not like he's building bungalows.
That sounds like a motion and a second.
I guess I'm unclear exactly what the county, the county allows what, 8 foot tall? What?
Yes.
8 foot tall?
16 square feet.
16 square feet?
Versus 6 foot and 16 square feet, which is the township.
Okay.
12. Yeah.
The township's at 12.
Square feet, right?
So I suggest we propose that we go with the 8 foot tall, 16 square feet in conforming with the county. I think that would be sufficient. I don't know if that's a motion or not, but
I'll
that's kind of
second
how
it.
I feel. Okay.
I'll second it.
You ready?
Byron, you got any, you okay with that?
It's fine.
Can you live with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms.
Do
Harlow?
your thing, Luann.
Okay, Ms. Harlow?
Yes.
Mr. Havel?
Yes.
Mr. Horvath?
Yes.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Walker, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. All right.
Well, that wasn't very efficient.
That's a new one on me, like I said.
Well, there's a kickoff coming.
A kickoff.
What, 9 o'clock? Yeah, it's on in the background.
Oh,
I thought it was 8:30.
fair enough. Do we have old business, Luann?
No, I don't have anything.
New business?
Hey, on old business, our fireplace friends, how's that coming along?
I think they had a preliminary hearing or something last week. That's all I know.
Wow.
And anything come out of last month's?
What were they? I don't even remember what the cases were. What were they?
It seemed kind of controversial.
Was one the pole barn? The barn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't think we had an actual meeting last month.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, he
2 months ago.
applied for a 2,000 square foot pole barn.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
He did. He's going with the zoning requirements.
Oh, so he's okay.
Yeah, right now, I don't, yeah.
Is he building one or two?
He's building one right now.
Okay.
That's all he put in for.
Okay. That's good. And we avoided one, right, Brian?
Which one?
Last week, Silver Spring House.
Oh, well, you guys didn't have that meeting. Yeah, right.
Well, they approved it, so we're done.
Yeah, yes. It's unless the lawyers from across the street appeal the zoning commission's decision, which they've contacted me, trying to get the facts of the decision timing.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's going to let it rest, but I don't think that's going to fly. I don't know. We'll see. There's always a lot of controversy between those people.
Yeah, Heartlands.
Can you let me in? What's going on at the Spring House?
Well, they're going to put in, they got a big temporary tent right now, and they're going to make it a permanent structure and build it out and everything. And one of the issues that was brought up by neighborhood, and I participated in the call because I have the concern about the parking, even though technically the parking lot has enough parking spaces. The reality is it's based on 4 people per car occupancy. And if you just have everybody coming in by themselves, that means you have 4 times as many cars. That means they only have 25% of the required parking, which is why you see parking in the Lucky Lot in CHCA, along the road, et cetera, et cetera. So the commissioning board, the zoning board punted that one and said, okay, we'll approve it. And there's some people in the community that are not going to let that sit. So we'll see. That wouldn't come to us, Brian, would it? That would go to like an arbiter?
No, it goes straight to court.
Yeah, straight to court. Let them
Yes.
handle it.
Lovely.
Brian, do we have a case for next month?
I don't know. I'm not positive. I was not in the office today, so we might have gotten something late last week and I didn't see it. So
Okay, I'll email you guys, but if we do have a meeting, we're gonna have to have it in person.
Why?
Because I talked to my administrator and she said that the governor only signed it to December 1st.
Yeah, but if it's working like this, why not continue?
I think this works great. Really does. Much more
But you
efficient.
gotta allow people to come and speak and,
I'd be surprised if he doesn't extend it, but
Yeah.
well, he hasn't yet, so
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow.
why? Oh, the election, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the trustees are back to open meetings, so. We'll see.
Why can't we do dual? Can't we do dual meetings where they could? I mean, it's technologically we can do it.
no, not even. It's actually worse. Everybody that's on Zoom is on a delay compared to everybody in the room. It's one of the most annoying things to go to a public meeting that also has people participating through Zoom. I haven't seen it work well yet. And I've been to a few.
A lot of the
Might tolerate
applicants aren't comfortable
one.
doing it either.
Yeah.
They're not familiar with computers or whatever, and it's a disadvantage for them.
For who?
Well, the applicant tonight, for one, the first guy, Mr. Signage, he was real nervous about it.
You know, on our business Zooms, this one, everybody here is on computer. Most of the people are on phones, and everybody has a phone. You know, that old argument about, oh, gee, I've got the equipment. Every one of them carries a phone. I sit there and watch them, you know, when they should be paying attention to somebody else playing with the phone. So a phone with the front-facing camera is all you need for Zoom. It's not a technological, you know, leap into the future.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter because we're not allowed to do it anymore, so.
Well, if we are, it's funny because the people who are opposed to whatever it is that you're considering, they'll use both arguments, and I've heard them both. At the Symmes Township trustees meeting, a bunch of people showed up and said, you guys shouldn't be making any decisions because not everybody can make it because they're scared to go out during a pandemic. You should be doing this on digital platform. And then some of the same people showed up at either this meeting or the zoning commission meeting and made the exact opposite argument. You shouldn't be making any decisions on Zoom. You should wait till we can come together in person to have this decision. And the same people were at both meetings and they said it both ways. They told one that they had to do it in person and the other that they shouldn't be doing it in person. So I don't think you're going to make anybody happy right now. Either way you do it.
Well, Luann, just tell us what to do. We will comply.
Okay.
That we will. Administrative matters. Do we have, we need to approve our minutes from the September 14th meeting.
Yeah, I move that we approve them. Read them.
I'll second. Oh.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second that. Do we have to do a roll call? No.
How about a voice vote?
Never did before.
Yes.
How about just a wave?
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Now, where's my leave?